Students often ask me how I clean my brushes, so here's how I go about it. I hope you find this short video clip helpful.
So I've got a fairly dirty paintbrush, right? I finished painting and it's covered in paint. So the first thing to do is to wipe the brush clean. So I'll just get a piece of paper. I've not dipped it in anything yet. Just get a piece of paper and pull off as much of the colour and the paint as I can on a bit of paper. Okay. Then we go into my dirty spirit, or my used spirit, and give it. And I never have much spirit in each jar, because you want to be able to give it a really damn good swishing around. So I'll give that a good clean and pull the, scrape it on the edge of the jar, get as much off as I can, and again, give it a good drying. Now, usually I'm pretty lazy. I would just do that and call it done. However, we'll find out how clean it is because I've now got some clean spirit, and I'll dip the brush in the clean spirit and give it another swizz around. And in fact, it's not too bad, but you may well find that you get more pigment out of it. So I give that another good clean, scrape, 2 lots of spirit. Make sure you dry the brush. Now, from this stage, we need to then go and get some soap. So once you've cleaned your brushes with the spirit, generally I don't bother go any further because I know that within the next day or so I'm going to use my brushes. But if that's not the case for you, that's a dry. Here's the brush that I've just been cleaning. I've now got some water and some you get Tesco's washing up liquid, but quite frankly, any supermarket brand or other brand is fine. And I put a bit into my hand like that, and then I start to work the brush quite hard into my hand, and I work all that soap and foam it up. And depending on how dirty the brush is, and in fact, then you can work it through your fingers and get all that soap. This is not a clean process, it's quite a messy process. But it means that I'll get all of it. I just get my finger, get my thumb and nail like that, and just, I don't know if you can see on the camera, and I just splay it out a little bit, but keeping it flat. I'm not trying to wreck the shape of the brush. And in fact, my hand has not gone particularly purply, so I suspect there's not a huge amount of extra paint. And sometimes we'll have a look on another brush. Sometimes the brush will go, your soap will go bright green. I mean, it's not exactly white, but it's not too bad. And take a bit of paper, just wipe my hand off a bit. I haven't got to see. I'm going to pull again, wipe as much of that off as I can with a rag. And then in here, I've just got some water. I would often run it under the tap, and the only reason for not running under the tap is the fact that I haven't got any water in the studio. So I'll give that a good sluice and another dry with a cloth. It's important to keep the brush fairly dry. Now pull that out, and I have a good on the back of my hand, and there is no pigment coming out of that. So I'm fairly confident. Now that brush is not white. I mean, here's a brush that's younger. And okay, we'll try that. We'll try cleaning that in a minute. But you can see it's discoloured. The lovely cream hairs have definitely discoloured. That will happen. You can't stop that happening. They do take a stain. So that is now a really clean brush. Might need another. I can feel a bit of soap in there, so I'm going to just give it another quick swaz in the water. There we are, just to clean it off a bit. And then it wants leaving standing upright in a jar. Don't leave it just lying flat on the deck. So I'll put that into my jam jar and it will stand up and dry off. Now this is a brush that I haven't been using. I have cleaned, but it's got quite a lot of green staining on it. So we'll just have a little look and see if with a bit of soap and a bit of effort, and that's quite a green colour, so I'm just going to work that into the bristles, even though this brush is dry. And in fact, that looks like going through there and then working up. Now, can you see? It's gone pale green. I mean, maybe it looks white there, but there is quite a lot of green coming out of that brush, even though this brush hasn't been used probably for a week or more. But it is turning a little bit green. So there was still some pigment. Now the staining, the brush will still stay a bit green, but the staining is there. But actually, that's definitely pulling out a bit more pigment. Give it another rinse. This is where I really do miss having the tap, but but then don't run it under the tap in your beautiful bathroom. You know, you want a working sink or the kitchen sink at best. I'll just give it a couple of washes in the. I'm sorry, I'm just bringing it a bit nearer. You can see this is that's quite foamy. There's a lot of soap to come off there. I've only brought one bit of water down with me. So let's have a look at that now. Oh yeah, that's pretty clean. Now it doesn't look any different, but isn't it interesting that I've managed to pull out quite a bit more pigment out of that brush by giving it a soap clean. So you may find that it's worth cleaning your brushes a couple of times. That probably, it still feels a bit soapy. Probably needs another run under the tap until it runs clear to get that brush really clean. I mean, that is how I would recommend that you clean your brushes.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. I hope you found this little introduction to cleaning brushes helpful.